I would like to share with you, in part it's a personal journey, because you know, it is also about the book that I have written, but also something that I found lacking in all of the enterprise architecture conferences that I had been to. And I've been going to architecture conferences, it's probably about 14 years now. I started into this realm in 97. And so over time, in attending all of these conferences, nobody ever spoke about what it was like to be a good architect. Everybody talked about, how do I do this? What technologies do I use? What methods, what process, which framework? I've heard that 100 times. But nobody talked about, how can I do this very well? How did I get here? Well, first of all, I had to pry myself loose of my 3-year-old child. I've left him at home. And we called at 3 a.m. because that was, you know, when I could get a hold of him. And he was crying, "Mummy, mummy, mummy." So this was, this was difficult, but I think well worth it, and I'll share with him one day. As well, I had to cross the pond. You heard about how many hours that was, and that was okay. Great flights and stuff, very, very friendly people along the way. I have studied what is good in over 400 architects, and this is because I have worked, consulted with over 100 companies. And I took a look at what were the traits in them, what made them good, and then that's what I used as the basis for my book. And I've taken these observations and I've put them in the book, and I'd like to just tell you for 1 minute how I started. When I started to be an enterprise architect, I worked for a company that was comprised of only 10 architects, and we traveled in the US and in Canada. And my boss said, "Here's a copy of an enterprise architecture plan. You should be able to figure it out." And I took a look at it, and I was able to replicate some of the models, and I was able to replicate when I went into the businesses, but I really wish that somebody would have given me a strategy or a guide for me, myself. What do I learn? What do I read? Who do I copy? Who do I model? And so that's what I would like to share with you today. So, how many architects really have a career plan? For the people that I've spoken to, most land in the job. They very rarely apply to be in the job. Somebody has decided they would like an EA program at their company, and somehow the smartest guy or gal in the room, you know, gets nominated, or potentially there is an application process. So most people don't actually have the career plan. Now, you think, well, what should I learn? So how do you even begin? Some people think that they need to learn about every technology there is so that they know which ones they should recommend. And that's not necessarily, you know, the best way. Most EAs end up being an on-the-job training. So as they take the position, they are trained, but not necessarily by another person or a mentor. It's what we sometimes call in North America baptism by fire. So, you know, your pants are on fire, your hair's on fire, and you've got to get something done. And very often 6 months go by, and somebody says, "How's the job?" And you say, "Well, I just started and I can't even tell you what I've accomplished." So again, it's running, it's not necessarily planning. Where do you get the information? There's lots and lots and lots of places, but very, very few university or college classes that say, this is how you will be an enterprise architect. And I applaud John because I understand that there is some of that here. And I don't think I think it's still in its infancy, but again, there isn't a really good, you know, a training platform. Do you learn the technology or do you learn the business? And therein lies, you know, a huge conundrum, because there can be EAs that come from the business side. You can come from the information technology side, but now your position is right smack in the middle, and you're supposed to be the person that helps the business get value from IT. And so now, you know, which one do you learn first, and how do you balance that? What is your focus? And do you even have focus? So is your focus to be the best EA in the world? Is the best focus for you to be the best at your company? Is your focus to bring more value to your company? Is your focus to bring your company to the next level? Again, it's lots of focuses, but often we forget about us. We forget about ourselves and what does our career look like, or should it look like. And so what I'm asking you today is to take a look at how can you make this about you and still be about your company. So why is this bad? I'll tell you, these are the top 5 words, and I apologize, I haven't seen this from the back of the room. I hope that you can still see beyond some of the circles, and I can tell you why at the end why you've got this background. But these are the top 5 words. I get coaching clients call me, and they say, help me, I need a career coach in EA. And they'll say, I'm scared, I'm overwhelmed, I'm so tired, I'm going to meeting after meeting after meeting, and people want me to make all these decisions. And very rarely have they got a plan as to where they want to go with their career. And so if these are the top 5 words, that's not a really good place to start unless you personally have a plan. Now, if you've heard the analogy, a cobbler's child has no shoes, the enterprise architect is the person that's supposed to be creating the plan. Make sure that you have a plan for yourself first, so that the plan for your company can evolve. Where are you going to get your information? So, you know, I don't know if you have the same places as that I would have in North America, but, you know, conferences, to me, are some of the very best places to get training in EA, and that is because there's a great variety of topics, and I hope that you've had that today. But because there is the variety, you're going to get enough perspective so that you can learn from many. If you are not involved in some of the LinkedIn groups in and around enterprise architecture, there are so many, and you can learn from the questions that people are asking, and so many are willing to share their answers, so that's another great spot. Proprietary certification and training. So there's some companies that sell either their modeling software or tools that you can use, and very often they will offer you some training. There's also companies that do come around and give training now. I know for sure there's an awful lot in the area of TOGAF. I'm not sure in Europe what the platforms are. I know in North America, John Zachman offers training in the area of enterprise architecture, the Zachman Ziffa. I offer my own flavor of this, and again, it's from my beliefs in simplicity. But there are lots of places that do offer this, and that's one spot for you to look. University and colleges are beginning to offer this, and there are a lot of books that are out there, and some are better than others. I wouldn't always trust the reviews on Amazon. Some of those reviews are very good, and because of writing a book, I know that some of those are planted. So again, take a look at them, take what you can, find people that you respect, and ask which books they read. So this is the basis that I started with for my book, and I believe that it's as simple as 5 steps to planning your career. And one is that to ensure that you've set the right foundation, that you've got the right place to be coming from to be an enterprise architect. Last night over dinner, you know, the fellow that was sitting beside me said to me, you know, he's had people say, how do I get started? And they're just coming out of university and college. And I've said, well, what I've come out with is said that you have to have at least had these types of experiences before you're ready to step into an enterprise architecture role. And people are frustrated if they've been trained in this, but if they know which kinds of opportunities to look for that will get them the most ready to do this job, then they're better off. Perfecting the process, that's level 2 is actually learning the architecture process and becoming so familiar with it that you apply it to almost every decision and every solution that you put together. It's a continual approach to using the same way of doing things. Realizing your soft skills. When you get to level 3, I state right in my book, you've got to be at this point before you're going to be a good EA. I mean, you should actually be ready to accept the position. Soft skills are your human skills, your human factors. These are the things like leadership and communication and, you know, playing the political game and consulting. These are lots of the you know, the softer, fuzzier skills, but it's the human relationship so that you are able to negotiate, you know, between the information technologists and the business, and not always negotiate, but let them see, you know, what the one vision is. The fourth level is really, starting to get up to the higher levels in skill and excellence, and that is being able to take the various perspectives that are out there in putting together your vision for the enterprise. And that is seeing the different perspectives from the suppliers and from the vendors that are going to provide you the services or the software. It is, the perspective of the technologist that has to implement what you're designing. It is from the business perspective. It's the business user. It's the business executive. It's the owner. It's the investor. And then finally, gaining the altitude, getting to the top level of excellence. It's being that strategist. It's being that visionary for the company and seeing what's coming and how will that affect my company, and should we even look at it. Being strong enough not to jump on the latest and greatest thing that's coming out, and knowing which ones that you should accept and embrace.